the root chakra and sacral chakra are coming through heavy for this particular energy, okay? There's this message that on the divine journey specifically, you're not supposed to pretend to detach or pretend to surrender, right? You're supposed to feel the layer by layer process that you're going through, right? So that you can heal through each cycle that presents itself to you, yeah? So what this allows you to do is actually understand the process of detachment and surrender from a divine sense. I feel like there's this energy of divine alignment taking place right now for you. And transition as well. You might be traveling. It's kind of this, it's kind of your head, you're finding more stillness and calmness in your head, more harmony within yourself. Judgment as well here. This hasn't come easy for you. I think that there's been a lot of awakenings, but it's kind of like there's a reality of the awakening that's kind of hitting you now. So I've got the 5 and the 6 of swords and the devil. And I feel like this is the energy that I was picking up on with the sacral. There's been a lot of blocks in that sacral energy. I think that any kind of external conflict or situations that have happened stayed stuck in those 2 kind of lower chakras. There's that energy of justice. There's the energy of kind of fear and instability in the root, whilst in the sacral there's this energy of replacing with like addictions. I'm hearing the word kind of what isn't self-soothing but is actually the opposite of self-soothing, even though you might think it's self-soothing, okay? With this justice card and the devil, there's been a lot of kind of I'm hearing a few things, kind of conflicting situations, so external parties, right? But also this internal uncertainty, this internal kind of need to release the pain that's still being held onto. King of Pentacles. Okay, and the Queen of Wands at the bottom of the deck. I'm getting this energy of lust, right? So this is coming back to that sexual energy, okay? But again, that's not just about, it's about kind of the energy itself, that life force energy itself, right? I think that's kind of what someone's been having a lot of uncertainty with, or just internal struggles, truly. I just keep hearing the word addiction, but there is something else that wants to come through. It's just not coming through, okay? There's something, yeah. Someone's had to have these awakenings because they have been stuck on this for a while, and it's their heartbreak that led them to this, to being stuck into this internal conflict with the 3 of Swords there. 2 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. It feels like somebody chose the path that was unintentionally more painful, but it's almost like it was a comfort to them. It's like they know that conflict, right? They've known it since a young age. But they were allowing themselves to stay stuck in it. And that 5 of Wands as well. Oof. There's been so many pulls on their sacred energy, truly. Queen of Cups at the bottom of the deck. The bottom of the deck is coming out with some really beautiful cards, which is interesting because I feel like this is like the background picture, but right now this is what's happening. Fast incoming divine justice is what I'm getting here, truly. There's been a lot of opportunities for somebody here to release this energy. Third party, it's a karmic energy. There's a lot of, I'm hearing again, intoxication, the Fool. So it's like somebody has awakened to whatever this situation is. Got the 6 of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands again at the bottom of the deck. They want to bring balance to this other energy, but they're still dealing with this karmic third-party energy, okay? But like I say, they have awakened to this now, whereas before they were led by this Page of Wands, this really immature kind of, I say immature, it's just, it was like this stuck energy that was like driving their, I guess maybe impulsively led. What they thought was passion was actually just addiction, masking the root cause of the trauma that wasn't healed, and just allowing them to stay in this societal conventional kind of ideals of what sex is and isn't, you know, like it's just like they're not the sacredness of this energy. This is what they've been healing, right? Or they are getting onto that kind of energy, that path of healing this, okay? Yes, so many temptations. My God, the Devil and the 7 of Cups. Lots of temptations with the 5 of Wands there as well. It's kind of like pulling on the energy left, right and centre. They've also been in positions where they've been very jealous, as again they've had to kind of, they've soothed themselves you know, okay, if they don't want me, in their own mind they're making this story up, okay, they don't want me, or maybe they have been in those situations where somebody else put them as a third party, and so they've fallen back onto kind of people that just have this kind of in and out energy with, you know, and I'm seeing kind of, this can be in the physical, you know, actual, or even just online, you know. This is someone who's really seeing like they've tasted from a lot of different pots, if you will. King of Wands energy. Very ego-driven, this energy has been in the past. Very ego-driven. And the irony is this kind of Knight of Pentacles that has come out, that more slow, stable energy, you know. When I say slow, more, I think just more rooted and grounded instead of just like impulsively moving ahead, which is what they were doing with that Justice card and the Knight of Swords. And now it's kind of like they're realizing that everything that stopped them from just taking their time and really rooting themselves in was just this kind of past energy. There's so many pages. The only page that isn't here is the Page of Swords, so it's again that clarity, that clear mind. They haven't had that. They've had the Five of Swords with the Three of Swords, you know, that pain, that grief internally that they haven't addressed, right, which are beginning to, right? But it's kind of still this really doing things from a small space, you know, just again, divine masculine energy, what's coming through, doesn't do things small. They know what they want, they go, nothing can stop them. But again, with this Queen of Swords energy, you know, someone's really allowed themselves to be led by lust. Okay, Ace of Wands, High Priestess, and the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, so that's the Queen of Pentacles, and then we've got the King on the spread, which tells me, especially with that energy of kind of, I don't know, they've had a lot of secretive behaviours when it comes to this energy, okay, and even just kind of, again, whether it is addictions or kind of lust driven, you know, whichever way it is, it's been a lot of secretive behaviours, okay, but I feel like they also have like a secret desire, secret passion for that queen that was coming through, something that they want to bring balance to, okay, something that Seven of Swords, yeah, this is an energy who wears a lot of masks, unfortunately. It's kind of like, you know, to access that divine truth, you must be your authentic self and not be afraid to be. But it's like they just hide it behind the scenes. Death card at the bottom of the deck. They are going through a transformation right now. They're just learning who and what is that kind of devil energy there. Who and what is that within them, around them, right? They're trying to understand that better. There's just this need to kind of step into a more mature, grounded space, which is what they're working on, the Tower. I think there has been some kind of destructive energy recently, because I'm the Knight of Wands. Remember, that's for me is a player kind of energies. That's what they've been running on, that kind of energy, whether it's been like how they've been acting or not. To some degree it has, unfortunately, but it's also kind of just the way they've been portraying themselves, if you will. Like they've been hiding their broken heart, when in fact, if they'd heal that heart, they'll see that they have this beautiful heart, actually, that isn't just needed for one person. They need it, but also there's many who need it from them, you know. I'm not just talking about romantic or sexual here, okay. The Empress and the Strength card at the bottom of the deck. So two things are coming up. They are working on the inner divine feminine, which is helping them to understand this energy, because that kind of that sacred energy especially is feminine, connected to the feminine, okay. But they of course need to work on that grounded root chakra as well, which is the masculine within. But there's also this energy of they have betrayed this Empress energy in the past. That's what's coming through heavy. But now it's kind of like this is the energy that's giving them strength to heal through the Tower they are experiencing right now. Yeah, they were guarded. They were in, you know, they were the Queen of Swords. They've had to deal with that karmic connection, but they were the King of Swords to this Empress in the past. So it's kind of like their own behaviour is being mirrored back to them, if you will. Only for them to kind of go through that soul evolution, that soul journey, that process, that they need to see that so they can actually heal through that. And again, face it instead of like, as we started at the beginning, not just kind of fake detach or, you know, avoid or cut off. It's like, okay, let's process this, what is happening here, truly release in a healthy way. Five of Cups, yeah, that's a healthy release, instead of just sitting in kind of regret and loss, right, and grief, but processing those feelings, understanding those. And I think that's what's happening with the moon here with the Six of Wands. So it's kind of like this delving into the subconscious, the inner kind of mind, if you will, to see kind of how to move forward in a way that isn't just ego-led, ego-fueled, trauma led, you know, Two of Swords and the Two of Cups, that they do need to make this decision. They are feeling the emptiness of the lack of this connection that they want in their life, truly. Ace of Swords, Queen of Pentacles, and Six of Cups. They are wanting a new beginning, but they're also really having to face their shadow right now. This is someone who truly has been avoiding these awakenings that Divine has been sending to them, just continuing forward with this kind of unhealthy connection or connections. But they are stepping into that more kind of more confident space of understanding their journey now. It's like they're relearning a lot more, but they're having to reflect to do that, which is why it's kind of still coming through small. You know, with a lot of these pages, they do have a lot of kind of energy, because we've got the chemistry card there. So they kind of get confused with that energy, but this is something they are healing and learning through. Okay, they're learning that it is safe for them to love, but they need to acknowledge that within themselves. They need to channel their internal energy instead of allowing it to be just physically driven, but driven from that more higher emotional self, if that makes sense. They're learning who and what isn't their support system, right? So the right people versus the people who are just always bringing them out of alignment. Give your relationship a chance. Calling in your person, okay? So they are calling in their person, right? They're calling in their divine person. But with this deception card and with that's coming out with the friends, I've had a lot of people around them, especially with that Five of Wands, who've constantly pulled them towards temptation. They've had, you know, voices in their ear, if you will, that have it's like I'm hearing like divine tests, you know, how much are you going to listen to yourself and your truth? This is why they're really having to tap into their intuition now, acknowledge their inner high priestess, if you will. So that these falsity, the more they remove their own masks, the more they're going to see through the masks around them, truthfully. And the more those masks will remove themselves, unrequited love. These aren't energies they've had around them that have been supportive, that have been nice, that have been from the heart space, okay? And this is something that they're having to really learn now, because by channeling this energy more, don't forget that energy, that sacral chakra, is all about making connections as well. Your relation, all kind of relationships outside of you, okay? So again, it's kind of finding balance in that now, right? Why? Because they want this reconciliation. They see their Empress. They see their Empress and want to give this a chance. They want to be the right version of themselves. You know, they're coming up as pages. Yes, we had one King of Pentacles and the King of Wands as well, right? But they know that they want to step up. They want to level up into that kind of more of the Emperor. They do have a very playful side, this energy. And I think that that's really important, like this play energy, maybe for both of you actually in this. But there's something about, you know, play, passion, you know, as still operating from that inner teenage or inner child self versus creating a safe, stable foundation for this relationship to truly flourish, okay? Attraction. They've led off attraction massively in the past, maybe even with this Empress energy. And that's what's led to this falsity, this mask, the wrong people around them, you know, the chemistry it's like they've led off kind of spark, if you will. I don't really like the way that term is used these days, but you know, they just, again, it's that impulse. They're just driven by impulse without actually scrounging back into themselves, connecting to their body that's telling them everything they need to know. The energy within their system is connecting outside of them. They know exactly who and what is okay, worth trusting or not. They know exactly where their energy is worth trusting. And this is a big thing for this energy, learning their own worth. Once you learn your own worth, you really begin to recognize who and what outside of you is worthy of entering, accessing that, right? You find your alignment within, and you really learn how to trust as well at the bottom of the day. Trust that inner voice. Yeah, once you find your divine alignment, there's a need to stay optimistic here. They're trying to stay optimistic themselves, but there's a need for you as well. Keep an open mind. This need to release the expectations of how things should unfold or who should, you know, how someone should be. Trust. When this, you know, with this reconciliation card, it tells me that there's been a lot of change. There's been, so look at this, someone was really deceitful in the past, but whereas now they're recognizing that, right? They're trying to change. In order to really develop that kind of strong relationship with yourself, you have to be so mindful of what is accessing your being in any way, shape and form, what you're hearing, what you're eating, what you're just any the kind of interaction that you're having outside of you, okay, including what is happening as well, okay? Take time to breathe out. I think that's them right now. It's like I think they might be a bit overwhelmed. The answers you need are coming, okay? A win-win outcome is forecast, okay? I think the Empress energy here, the Divine Feminine energy, is kind of guided to just step back from this situation. The answers will come, right? Bring love into the situation is really important. So again, operating from that heart space again, right? Not being fueled by fears. Work through your fears. Yeah, I think that's what it is, you know, those fears that stay stuck in your being, that you even forget as you go through the years. But from a very young age, the stories are still remembered in your like physical self, but also in your memory, in every way in which your subconscious is now controlling your movements, your actions. Nothing is yet set in stone. Okay, look at the bigger picture. So again, these divine journeys aren't just about being together and everything. It's really about soul lessons, like big soul lessons, to the point they have rippling effects outside of you as well. What do you need to release? That's with the fears and the answers that are coming, right? Prosperity lies ahead. So have faith in that. You and your loved ones are safe as well. Have faith in that. It feels like it's time to release negativity and believe in the impossible. Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like there's kind of someone's experiencing like they're losing, if you will. I don't know why I did that, losing faith. I don't want to say it. They don't be losing faith, right? But they're just going through a cycle right now and they need to. Your commitment is being tested, just as I said that, right? They're being tested. How much faith do you have in this, in yourself? Because I think that whatever's drawing them back, pulling them back, this like third party karmic situations, as well as all those external influences, it's already coming up now and they're being tested. Someone's really going through a cycle of learning how to make better decisions that are in their soul alignment, they are being divinely guided towards, versus the pulls on their external energies. Admit the truth to yourself and act accordingly. That's what they're going through right now. They're facing a lot of, I heard the word demons, right? So, you know, with Pluto retrograde, it makes sense. And then we've got the Scorpio full moon next week as well. So they're feeling these energies. And that's the current time, obviously. Don't know when you're watching this, but currently, okay, a favourable outcome. So there is something to be positive about moving forward. But again, that faith is being tested right now, right? Have trust in this safety of love, because you have that safety of love within you, regardless of anyone outside of you. You have that in your heart space, right? That's what they need to remember. Spend more time outdoors. I think that's more about connecting to nature, actually, than needing to connecting to nature is one of the most beautiful ways you can connect to the divine feminine as well, right? Shield yourself. Yeah, they are protecting themselves right now. They're seeing the masks around them because they're removing their own, which is beautiful. A favorable outcome with the person you're asking about is trustworthy. So this divine connection, right, specifically, I think that there's, because of that reconciliation card, you know, there's clearly you're at a distance. It's like you haven't been able to reassure each other. And I think that actually reassurance is so important in this specific connection that I'm getting. But that's what's being tested. They're having to kind of reassure themselves, which means they're going to need to trust themselves. So it's all about how much that's happening within them now. You know, they've had a lot of situations where their own internal flame has just gone out, truthfully. Keep your eyes on your targeted intention. Really important. I think there's something about needing to stay grounded and focused is so important as they process through these emotional cycles that are from it's kind of like purging the internal wounding from that inner child as well, right? When your loved ones are safe, honor and trust your feelings, okay? So once again, you and your loved ones, you don't need to worry about kind of anyone who isn't actually in your alignment right now, but you and your loved ones are safe. This is a protected connection, right? And you've got to, it's kind of like this is somebody who's recognizing where they need to make the decisions to really recognize who and what that isn't. Yeah, who and what aren't, you know, their loved ones, if you will, or whatever. Honor and trust your feelings with that person. So, as in the divine connection, the person you ask about is trustworthy, a favourable outcome, okay? Decide to be happy now. Be gentle with yourself. They are needing to be gentle with themselves as well. They're recognising it's under their control to change the situation and to make commitment to themselves and to honour this journey. Divine Feminine's guidance really is stay in your light, right? Stay in your kind of positive energy when it comes to this connection, not falling short to any kind of negative thinking. go back to that healing cycle you've been through, and also to recognize that the divine masculine here is going through a real healing cycle here, and they need to go through this. So allow them that kind of space too, instead of like no energetic pulling. Does that make sense? Just stay in your alignment, stay focused. And that's the divine masculine really required to understand that it's your decisions now that make that result in the actions moving forwards, because I feel like the testing is that you're not seeing that who you are today, who you've grown to be, all the work you have been doing, whether you realize it or not, right? Understand those energies that are coming up again, those past versions of you and those emotions of the past, so that you can truly recognize who and what is pulling on those and bringing that out of you, and how to recycle that and release that and change those kind of thought patterns is really important in this particular energy. Also recognizing that this isn't about relying on each other or becoming codependent on each other. Quite the opposite. It's about recognizing the courage of the divine love that lays in your heart, that is pulling you out of this situation, that is allowing you to really align with yourself and recognize the divine self that is coming through now, that is literally is you. It's just all the external kind of barriers and masks that you're removing now. Divine feminines, it can be really painful, hurtful, and bring up some real like heavy emotion when third party karmic connections specifically enter the vicinity, or you become aware of those, or you just know, right? So you need to be gentle with yourself as well sometimes, because it's not easy to, because you feel like that's your person, or, vice versa. But the truth is, like I've said before in previous readings, it's not about belonging to anyone. It's about allowing another person to find their own way back home, to fly and allow their own wings to really strengthen and take them exactly where they need to be. And you have faith in that, because actually they're helping you to see where, unconditional love is really recognizing that everyone's having their own soul lessons, their own soul journeys. Yes, should they reconcile, the reconciliation card, should they come back, they need to, no masks, so you can finally have that truthful, honest conversation, build that trust, right? But they need to get to that space where they can be that and do that for you, right? All you can do is stay in your alignment, focus on what's coming through for you and your cycles, and stay in your abundant path, okay? Remember, tarot is just telling you what you already know, what's already existing within you. So you both already know this. It's just a reminder that you both need it, because when you're on the divine journey, it's not easy, right? It's not a romantic fairy tale. Though there can be beautiful romance and it can feel like a fairy tale sometimes. It's real, it's raw, it's gritty. You're not crazy, okay? Look after you. Be gentle with yourselves, with your connection. Trust so much faith in this, right? Which allows you to focus on you and do what you need to do for yourself, for the connection, and for your divine path, okay? You have a purpose, remember. Let me know if this reading was for you. Sending so much love.